Zixara stared at her sensor screen and blinked all three of her eyes in confusion. The numbers didn't make sense. They couldn't be real. She was alone on the night shift aboard the Luminous Accord, a coalition research vessel that spent most of its time doing boring surveys of empty space. Her job was simple: watch the screens, log any unusual readings, and try not to fall asleep. Most nights, nothing happened. Space was big and empty and incredibly dull, but tonight was different. The sensor array had picked up something in the Terminus Nebula, a massive cloud of gas and dust that marked the edge of what used to be human territory. Nobody went there anymore. It had been forbidden for over 800 years. Ever since humanity destroyed itself in a terrible civil war, the area was filled with old defense systems that still worked, unstable technology, and automated weapons that didn't care who you were. Going there meant death. Zixara leaned closer to her screen. The signature was faint but clear. Fusion drives. Military grade. Moving with purpose through the nebula. She ran the pattern through the computer's database, her heart beating faster with each passing second. The computer beeped. Match found. She read the results twice, then 3 times. Her hands started to shake. The signature matched ancient human warship designs. The kind that hadn't been seen in almost a millennium. The kind that shouldn't exist anymore because humans were extinct. Zixara's people, the Velthari, were known for having overactive imaginations. Her superiors often dismissed her reports as paranoid fantasies or sensor errors. She was young, barely into her 3rd decade, and nobody took her seriously. But this time she had proof. The computer confirmed it. She reached for the communication panel to call Commander Thelkor, then hesitated. What if she was wrong? What if it really was just a sensor ghost? Some weird echo from the nebula. She would look like a fool again. They already thought she was too excitable, too quick to see threats that didn't exist. Zixara made a decision. She would track the signal quietly, gather more data, and only report it when she had undeniable proof. Over the next 3 hours, she watched the signature move. It wasn't random. It followed a deliberate path through the nebula, avoiding certain areas and heading toward something specific. Whatever it was, it knew where it was going. She pulled up historical records about humanity. The files were old, and mostly propaganda from the Coalition's early days. According to official history, humans had been violent and unpredictable. They expanded too fast, fought too often, and finally turned on each other in a war that left their entire civilization in ruins. The Coalition had formed from the species that survived humanity's chaotic expansion, united in their determination to never let one species dominate again. But the files also mentioned human technology. Their ships had been fast and powerful. Their weapons were devastating. Their military tactics were brilliant and terrifying. Even after 8 centuries, some Coalition species still told stories about human warriors to scare their children. Zixara looked at her screen again. The signature was still there, still moving. She started a deep scan, trying to get more details. The nebula's interference made it difficult, but she managed to pull some additional data. There were more signatures. Not just one ship, but multiple contacts. At least 4, maybe more, all moving in formation. This wasn't a ghost or an error. This was a fleet. Her mouth went dry. If humans had somehow survived, if they had been hiding all this time, what did that mean? Were they planning something? Were they angry about what happened? Did they blame the Coalition? She saved all her data to an encrypted file and marked it with her personal security code. Whatever happened next, she needed evidence that she had discovered this first. As her shift ended and the morning crew started arriving, Zixara tried to act normal. She logged her routine observations, mentioned nothing unusual, and prepared to leave. But she caught Commander Thelkor in the corridor outside the sensor bay. Thelkor was a Krynoth, a species known for their military tradition. He was old, with scars across his armored face that spoke of battles fought long ago. He had always been kind to Zixara, even when others dismissed her. She took a deep breath. "This was it, Commander," she said quietly. "I need to show you something. Something important." Thelkor looked down at her with his 4 dark eyes. "What kind of something?" "The kind that could change everything we know about the Terminus Nebula," she said. "About what's out there." "About who's out there?" He studied her face for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Show me." They went back into the sensor bay. Zixara pulled up her encrypted files and displayed the data on the main screen. She explained what she had found, her voice steady despite her nervousness. Thelkor watched in silence. When she finished, he stood very still. Human signatures, he said finally. You're certain? The computer confirmed it. Multiple contacts moving in formation. Commander, I think they're still out there. I think humans survived. Thelkor's expression was unreadable. If this is true, he said slowly, then everything we've been taught is a lie. He turned to face her. We need to investigate this, but quietly. If we're wrong, it will cause unnecessary panic. If we're right, he trailed off. If we're right, Zixara prompted, then the galaxy has a very big problem. The stealth shuttle moved through the Terminus Nebula like a shadow. Zixara sat in the co-pilot seat, her hands gripping the armrest so tightly her knuckles had turned pale blue. Commander Thelkor piloted the small vessel with steady confidence, his eyes focused on the navigation display. They had left the luminous Accord 6 hours ago without telling anyone where they were going. Officially, they were conducting a routine patrol of the outer sectors. In reality, they were violating about a dozen coalition laws by entering the quarantine zone. Contacts still reading on sensors? Thelkor asked. Zixara checked her display. Yes, sir. Same signatures approximately 40,000 kilometers ahead. They're not moving much. It looks like they're holding position near something. The nebula's swirling gases created beautiful patterns of red and purple outside their window, but Zixara couldn't enjoy the view. Her stomach felt tight with anxiety. Every sensor ghost made her jump. Every energy fluctuation looked like a threat. There, Thelkor said, pointing at the screen. Debris field, he was right. The sensors showed a large area filled with wreckage. As they got closer, Zixara could make out the pieces. Metal fragments, hull plating, and what looked like parts of mining equipment. That's coalition technology, she said. Recent design, too. Maybe 10 years old at most. Thelkor brought the shuttle to a stop at the edge of the debris field. He activated the external cameras and started scanning. The wreckage told a story, and it wasn't a good one. Energy weapon burns, he said, highlighting several pieces of debris. High-intensity focused beams. This wasn't an accident or system failure. Something attacked this station. When? Zixara asked. Based on the decay rate of the radiation signatures, within the last 10 standard days. He looked at her. Whatever did this is still out here. They moved carefully through the debris, scanning everything. Zixara found what was left of the station's central hub. Most of it had been torn apart, but the data core was still partially intact. I'm going to try to access their logs, she said. It took 20 minutes of careful work, but she finally cracked the security encryption. The station's final recordings played on her screen. The footage was choppy and corrupted, but she could see enough. The mining station had been operating normally when the attacks began. Dark shapes appeared on their sensors, moving fast. The station's automated defenses activated, but they were overwhelmed in seconds. Then the weapons fire started. Zixara watched as the camera shook from impacts. She heard the crew shouting in panic. Then she saw them. The attacking ships. They were sleek and predatory, painted in dark colors that helped them blend with space. But on their hulls, faded but still visible, were insignias. Earth insignias. Human military markings from 800 years ago. The recording ended in static. Zixara felt cold. Commander, you need to see this. Thelkor watched the footage 3 times. His face grew darker with each viewing. It's not just one ship, he said. I count at least 8 different vessels in that attack. And look at how they move. That's military coordination. These aren't scavengers using stolen technology. These are trained crews. But how is that possible? Zixara asked. Humans have been gone for centuries. Everyone says they destroyed themselves. Thelkor was quiet for a long moment. I was there, he finally said. At the end of the human wars. I was just a young soldier, but I remember it. I saw their ships burning. I watched their colonies fall silent. I believed they were finished. He gestured at the screen. But what if we were wrong? What if some of them survived, and they've been hiding out here all this time? More than hiding. They've been rebuilding, growing, preparing. He downloaded the footage to their shuttle's secure storage. We need more proof. The Council won't believe this without overwhelming evidence. They continued searching the debris field and found more clues. Weapon signatures that matched human plasma cannons. Drive emissions that matched old Earth military specifications. Tactical patterns that fit human combat doctrine. Then Zixara's sensor screamed a warning. Contact! She shouted. Something just appeared on our scanners, big, very big. Thelkor immediately activated the shuttle's stealth systems. The cloaking field wrapped around them, making them nearly invisible to most sensors. But the contact kept getting closer. On the view screen, space itself seemed to ripple and tear. A massive shape emerged from nowhere, decloaking right in front of them. It was a warship, easily 5 times the size of the luminous Accord. Its hull was scarred and patched, showing years of hard use, but its weapons were pristine and ready. Zixara read the name painted on its side. UESS Remnant's Pride, United Earth Spaceship. They see us, Thelcor said grimly. Our stealth field is flickering. Something about their sensors is interfering with our cloak. Before they could react, a bright blue beam locked onto their shuttle. Tractor beam. They were caught, pulled helplessly toward the human warship. What do we do? Zixara asked, her voice shaking. Thelcor powered down their weapons to show they weren't a threat. We pray that humans are more forgiving than their reputation suggests. The shuttle was drawn into the warship's hangar bay. Through the window, Zixara could see the interior. It was clean and well-maintained, with equipment and vehicles stored in organized rows. Crew members in dark uniforms watched their arrival, weapons ready but not raised. As the shuttle settled onto the deck, magnetic clamps locked it in place. The hangar pressurized. Zixara's heart pounded so hard she thought it might break through her chest. The shuttle door opened. Standing outside was a human woman in a captain's uniform. She was tall and lean, with brown skin and gray streaks in her dark hair. Her eyes were sharp and calculating. Welcome aboard, the human captain said in perfect Coalition standard language. I'm Captain Sarah Chen. You've been looking for us. Congratulations, you found us. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Now we need to talk about what happens next. Zixara had expected many things. Torture chambers, prison cells, experimental laboratories where humans would study them like specimens. What she hadn't expected was a conference room with comfortable chairs and fresh coffee. Captain Chen sat across the table from them, her hands folded calmly. 2 human security officers stood by the door, armed but relaxed. The room was warm and well lit, decorated with images of Earth landscapes that Zixara had only seen in historical archives. You're not going to kill us? Zixara blurted out, then immediately felt foolish. Chen raised an eyebrow. Why would we kill you? You haven't done anything to us. You're just a sensor analyst and a commander who got curious. She poured herself a cup of coffee. Want some? It's real coffee grown in our hydroponics bay. One of the few things we managed to save from Earth. Thelcor accepted a cup. Zixara shook her head, still too nervous to drink anything. I have questions, Thelcor said. I'm sure you do, Chen replied. Let me save us some time. Yes, humans survived. No, we didn't destroy ourselves. Yes, we've been hiding out here for 847 years. And yes, we've been watching the Coalition all that time. That's impossible, Zixara said. The records show that humanity fell in a massive civil war. Every species in the Coalition knows this. It's historical fact. Chen's expression hardened. History is written by the victors. And we didn't win. We were betrayed. She stood and activated a holographic display. Images appeared in the air between them. Old footage, documents, communications records. This is what really happened, Chen said. 850 years ago, humanity was expanding into space. We were excited, maybe too excited. We made mistakes, moved too fast, stepped on some toes. But we were trying to be good neighbors. The hologram showed human ships meeting alien vessels for the first time. Diplomatic conferences, trade agreements. Then came the incident at New Horizon Colony, Chen continued. A human transport was destroyed. 3,000 civilians killed. Evidence pointed to a radical human faction called the Purity Front. They were extremists who hated aliens. The attack started a chain reaction. Different human factions blamed each other. Old tensions exploded into violence. Zixara watched the footage of human ships fighting each other. Cities burning. Colonies going dark. While we were tearing ourselves apart, Chen said, her voice cold. The Coalition was forming. Species that had been competing with humanity for resources suddenly united. Very convenient timing, don't you think? You're saying it was planned? Thelcor asked. Chen nodded. The attack on New Horizon was a false flag operation. Coalition founders orchestrated it to look like a human attack. They fed information to different human factions, making each one think the others were responsible. They manipulated us into destroying ourselves while they watched and waited. She brought up more documents. We didn't figure this out until it was too late. Most of humanity was gone, our homeworld was dying, but a few ships escaped. Fleet Admiral Marcus Webb gathered everyone he could find and ran. We've been out here ever since. Why stay hidden? Zixara asked. Why not reveal yourselves? Because we were weak, Chen said simply. We had maybe 2 million survivors spread across a dozen ships. The Coalition had trillions of citizens and thousands of warships. If we revealed ourselves, they would have finished what they started. So we hid. We built secret bases and dead systems. We salvaged what we could. We had children and taught them the truth. We survived. Thelkor studied the documents carefully. These files show Coalition communication codes from 800 years ago. How do we know they're real? You don't, Chen admitted. That's the problem. We can show you evidence, but your superiors will claim it's fake. They'll say we manufactured it. The truth doesn't matter when everyone has already made up their minds. She sat back down. But you two are different. You came looking for us. You found us, and now you have to decide what to do with that information. You could let us go. Zixara said hopefully. We could. Chen agreed. But then what? You report back. The Coalition panics. They send a fleet to wipe us out. We defend ourselves. A new war starts. Millions die. Is that what you want? Of course not, Thelkor said. Chen leaned forward. Then help us. Go back to the Coalition. Show them our evidence. Convince them that humans aren't the monsters from their history lessons. Because if you don't, something much worse is coming. What do you mean? Zixara asked. Chen's expression grew grave. She brought up new data on the hologram. For the past 30 years, we've been detecting unusual signals from beyond the galactic rim. Energy patterns that don't match anything we know. 6 months ago, we finally got a clear reading. The hologram showed something massive moving through deep space. This is the Voidborn Vanguard. Extra-dimensional entities that consume advanced civilizations. They're heading straight for Coalition space. Zixara felt her blood go cold. The shape in the hologram was enormous, larger than entire star systems. We've intercepted Coalition deep space probes, Chen continued. You've detected the same signals. Your scientists are probably analyzing them right now. But they don't know what they're looking at. They've never seen anything like the Voidborn before. We have? How? Thelkor demanded. Because they're why humanity expanded so fast, Chen said quietly. Our ancestors detected them coming. We were trying to prepare, to build up our forces, to find allies. But the Coalition thought we were just being aggressive. And now, she gestured at the data, our calculations say they'll reach Coalition space in about 18 months. Why should we believe you? Zixara asked, though part of her already did. Chen stood again. Come with me. I'll show you something. She led them through the ship's corridors. Zixara saw human crew members going about their duties. She saw families, children playing in a recreation area, an old man tending to plants in the hydroponics bay. These weren't monsters or warmongers. They were just people trying to survive. Chen brought them to an observation deck. Through the large windows, they could see other ships. Dozens of them all clustered together. This is our fleet, Chen said. 38 vessels carrying about 4 million people. That's all that's left of humanity. We've been living on these ships for 8 centuries, moving from one hiding spot to another. We're tired. We want to go home. She turned to face them. But we can't do that while the Coalition thinks we're extinct. And we can't warn you about the Voidborn if you won't listen. Thelkor and Zixara exchanged glances. What do you want from us? Thelkor asked. Go back, Chen said. Tell them the truth. Show them our evidence. Make them listen. You're credible witnesses. A decorated commander and a talented analyst. They might dismiss us, but they'll listen to you. And if they don't believe us? Zixara asked. Chen's smile was sad. Then we'll all die together when the Voidborn arrive. The Coalition High Council chamber was designed to intimidate. Representatives from 47 species sat in a massive circular arena, their seats rising in tiers that reached toward a domed ceiling. At the center, standing under bright lights, Zixara felt very small and very alone. Thelkor stood beside her, his military uniform perfect, his posture rigid. They had been presenting evidence for 3 hours. The council was not impressed. This is absurd, declared Councillor Vexthar, a Krynoth elder with more scars than Thelkor. Humans have been extinct for over 8 centuries. Everyone knows this. These files are obvious forgeries. The encryption matches coalition codes from that era, Zixara argued. We've verified the data signatures. This isn't fake. Or you've been deceived, said Counselor Lyra, a Velthari like Zixara but much older. Your species is known for seeing threats that don't exist. You probably saw some scavengers with salvaged equipment and created this elaborate fantasy. We saw the ships, Thelcor said firmly. We were brought aboard a human warship. We spoke with their captain. This is real. The council erupted in argument. Some species demanded military action. Others called for Zixara and Thelcor to be arrested for spreading false information. A few asked for more investigation. Counselor Jakar, leader of the coalition's founding species, raised his crystalline hand for silence. The chamber quieted. Commander Thelcor, Jakar said, his voice resonating through translation devices. You are a decorated officer with 40 years of loyal service, but you ask us to believe something impossible. You ask us to accept that our entire history is wrong, that we are responsible for genocide. These are serious accusations. I'm telling you what we saw, Thelcor replied. What we learned. Sir, there's more. The humans warned us about something coming from beyond the galaxy. They call them the Voidborn. They showed us data suggesting an invasion force is approaching. More fear-mongering, Vexthar scoffed. First phantom humans, now imaginary invaders. What's next? As if in answer, alarms suddenly blared throughout the chamber. Red lights flashed. A junior officer rushed in and whispered urgently to Jakar. The counselor's crystalline face somehow managed to look pale. We're receiving emergency distress calls from the Outer Rim. 3 colonies have gone silent. Before they lost contact, they reported unknown vessels attacking them. The chamber fell silent. Show us, Jakar commanded. A holographic display appeared, showing the last transmission from Colony 7. Zixara watched as strange writhing shapes appeared on screen. They weren't ships in any normal sense. They were organic-looking, constantly shifting like living shadows. They tore through the colony's defenses as if they weren't there. Voidborn, Zixara whispered. The transmission ended in static. The council sat in stunned silence. We need to mobilize the fleet, Vexthar said, his earlier confidence gone. Send everything we have to the Outer Rim. Already done, Jakar said. Battle Group 7 is engaging them now. They watched the tactical display as coalition warships arrived at the battle. Zixara felt hope at first. Battle Group 7 had over 200 ships, including 5 of the coalition's newest dreadnoughts. The hope lasted exactly 4 minutes. The Voidborn moved in ways that made no sense. They phased through shields. They absorbed energy weapons. They turned coalition ships' own technology against them. Within 10 minutes, half of Battle Group 7 was destroyed. The rest retreated in chaos. The council chamber erupted in panic. Thelcor grabbed Zixara's arm. We need to contact Captain Chen. Now. They were escorted from the chamber in the confusion. Thelcor had been detained earlier. His communication privileges suspended, but security had bigger problems now. They made their way to a private comm station. Zixara sent an encrypted message to the coordinates Chen had given them. She wasn't sure it would reach anyone. Maybe the humans had already left, deciding to let the coalition face its fate alone. But then Chen's face appeared on the screen. We're watching, the captain said without greeting. The Voidborn arrived sooner than we expected. We tried to warn them, Zixara said. They didn't believe us. Now our forces are being slaughtered. Chen was quiet for a moment. In the background, Zixara could hear alarms and orders being given. Captain, a voice said off-screen, the council has voted. If we help the coalition now, we show weakness. We should wait until they're desperate enough to accept any terms we demand. No, Chen said firmly. We survived by remembering who we were. If we let innocent people die because we want revenge, we become exactly what they feared. She looked directly at the camera. Tell your council that help is coming, whether they want it or not. The transmission ended. Zixara and Thelcor rushed back to the main command center. Through the massive windows, they could see coalition ships scrambling to launch. The space around the capital world was chaotic with activity. Then space itself seemed to ripple. Ships appeared out of nowhere, decloaking in perfect formation. Human ships. Dozens of them, including the massive remnant's Pride at the center. The command center went silent. Identify those vessels, Jakar commanded. Signatures match. Humans, sir, an officer said, disbelief in her voice. They're hailing us. Chen's face appeared on the main screen, visible to everyone. Coalition Command, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Space Service. We detected the Voidborn attack on your colonies. We're moving to assist, transmitting tactical data on enemy weaknesses now. This is impossible, Shakar said. Believe it later, Chen replied sharply. Right now, you need our help. We've fought the Voidborn before. We know how to hurt them. So either accept our assistance or watch your people die. Your choice. Make it fast. Shakar looked at the tactical display showing another coalition fleet getting torn apart by the Voidborn. He looked at the human ships, weapons powered but not targeting coalition vessels. He looked at Zixara and Thelkor. Help us, he said finally. Chen nodded. All human vessels engage the enemy. Show them what we learned from 800 years of survival. For Earth, for humanity, for everyone who never gave up. The human fleet jumped to hyperspace, heading toward the battle. Zixara watched them go, hope blooming in her chest for the first time since this nightmare began. Maybe, just maybe, they had a chance. 3 weeks had passed since the first Voidborn attack. Zixara stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned vessel Unity, watching through the viewport as human and coalition ships practiced combat maneuvers together. It still felt surreal. The battle at the Outer Rim had been brutal. Coalition forces had superior numbers, but the Voidborn had been overwhelming their technology. Then the humans arrived with 800 years of guerrilla warfare experience. They had learned to fight enemies stronger than themselves. They had adapted. Human ships didn't try to match the Voidborn's power. They used hit-and-run tactics, striking weak points and retreating before counterattacks could land. They shared their knowledge freely with coalition forces. Within hours, the tide of battle had shifted. The Voidborn were driven back, though everyone knew it was only a temporary victory. 14 coalition ships had been destroyed before the humans arrived. After they joined the fight, only 3 more were lost. The numbers spoke for themselves. Strange times, Captain Chen said, walking up beside Zixara. The human captain looked tired but satisfied. She had been appointed as co-commander of the Unity, serving alongside Thelkor. Nobody had expected a human to be given such an important position, but after the battle, the Council had little choice. Strange doesn't even begin to cover it, Zixara replied. She had been named official liaison to the human forces, the first ambassador between their species in 8 centuries. At 29 years old, she was the youngest diplomat in coalition history. How are the tribunal hearings going? Chen asked. Zixara grimaced. Badly. Councillor Jakar and the others admitted they knew about the false flag operation. The old records were hidden but not destroyed. Some of the founder species leaders are accepting responsibility. Others are fighting it. And the public? Rioting in some systems. Protests in others. A lot of people are angry that we were lied to. Some still don't believe humans are real. Zixara shook her head. It's chaos. Chaos can be productive, Chen said. Old lies are being exposed. The truth is spreading. It hurts now, but it's necessary. You can't build a real alliance on a foundation of deception. They watched as a human destroyer executed a perfect barrel roll around a coalition cruiser. The crews were learning to work together, slowly overcoming centuries of mistrust and propaganda. The humans didn't demand revenge, Zixara said. After everything the coalition did to you, you could have let us die, or demanded tribute, or enslaved us. But you saved us and asked for nothing. Chen smiled sadly. We remembered who we were. Humans aren't perfect. We make mistakes. But when we're at our best, we help people who need it. Even our enemies, she paused. Besides, we need you as much as you need us. The Voidborn aren't going to stop with one defeat. That was the uncomfortable truth everyone was facing. Analysis of the data from the battle showed that the Voidborn forces they had fought were just scouts. The real invasion fleet was still coming, still months away. Humanity and the coalition together might be able to stop it. Separately, they would fail. Thelkor wants to see us, Chen said. Command deck. They found the commander studying 3-dimensional star maps with a mixed crew of humans and coalition officers. He looked up as they approached. We've finished analyzing the intelligence, Thelkor said. Both human and coalition data. The Voidborn main fleet will arrive in approximately 4 months. They'll hit the Carina sector first, then sweep through the Galactic arm. Numbers? Chen asked. Thousands of vessels, maybe tens of thousands. This isn't a raiding party. It's an extinction event. He brought up projections. If we face them with just military forces, we'll lose. We need to mobilize everything. Every ship. Every resource. Every species. The Council has authorized total mobilization, Zixara said. But integration is going slowly. Some species still don't trust humans. Some humans don't trust the Coalition. Then we make them trust each other, Chen said firmly. We train together, fight together, bleed together. That's how trust is built. Not through words, but through actions. Over the following weeks, that's exactly what happened. Human engineers shared technology with Coalition scientists. Coalition tacticians learned guerrilla warfare from human veterans. Mixed crews drilled constantly, preparing for the coming storm. Zixara found herself working 18-hour days, mediating disputes, arranging cultural exchanges, and solving problems that nobody had ever faced before. How do you merge two societies that have been separate for 8 centuries? How do you overcome propaganda and fear? One day at a time, she learned. One conversation at a time. She became friends with Chen, spending evenings in the captain's quarters learning about human culture. Chen taught her about Earth's history, showing her recordings of forests and oceans that no longer existed. In return, Zixara shared Velthari poetry and philosophy. Do you think we can win? Zixara asked one evening. Chen was quiet for a moment. I think we can try. And sometimes trying is enough. Humans almost went extinct. We survived by refusing to give up. Now the galaxy faces the same test. Will we quit or will we fight? Fight, Zixara said with conviction. Exactly. 4 months passed in a blur of preparation. New weapons were built, new strategies developed, new alliances forged. When the Voidborn finally arrived at the edge of Coalition space, they didn't find frightened, divided prey. They found a united galaxy ready to defend itself. Zixara stood on the bridge of the Unity as the combined fleet assembled. Over 10,000 ships from 47 species, with human vessels integrated throughout the formation. Thelkor commanded from the center. Chen coordinated tactics from the tactical station. All ships report ready, an officer announced. Thelkor looked at Chen. Chen looked at Zixara. Zixara nodded. For the Coalition, Thelkor said. For humanity, Chen added. For everyone, Zixara finished. The combined fleet jumped to hyperspace, heading toward the Voidborn's approach vector. This wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning of a new chapter. One written not by individual species but by all of them together. Zixara had spent her life studying sensors, looking for threats in the darkness. She had found the greatest threat of all, and in doing so had discovered something unexpected. Humanity wasn't the monster from her childhood nightmares. They were survivors, warriors, and most importantly, allies. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The real war was about to begin. But for the first time in 800 years, humanity wasn't alone. Neither was the Coalition. They had each other, and sometimes that made all the difference.